Okay, we're live. I'm Adam Wins, and this is the Winningest. Today we have an excellent guest. We've taken a little bit of a hiatus because of COVID. We've been traveling around on our boat, and we've had intermittent times when we've had an internet connection. So we took a long break from last when we spoke to you. We've got a backup of a lot of guests that we have to get on the show, but you're the one guest that we had on the show that it was real important. I wanted to see what happened to you. So Allison Liddic here is I would say you're a breast implant survivor. That's how I would categorize you, as a breast implant survivor, because it is a really toxic thing and it's a really horrible thing. I saw the pictures of your before and after bags, which was so amazing that when you took them out. And you just want to give everybody a refresh of, let's say, so we saw you right before you were about to go into surgery.
Yes.
You were getting your breast implants removed because they were just causing you a lot of physical pain and ailments, and you were really on the mission to educate other people in why they shouldn't get breast implants. And it was really helpful. Right. I got to thank you so much. You were impactful, and my wife, because everybody likes to have that, let's say 6-pack chest for men, right? Like the 6-pack, the women want the 6-pack chest. And I get it. It's like one of those things that you're like, ooh, it like really catches you. It's a shiny object syndrome type of thing. But the risks really outweigh the rewards. And I just have to say, from our last meeting a year ago, which is almost a year to date, I mean, it's a couple weeks, you look incredibly like a different person. Your eyes have a completely different shape to them. You have bags under your eyes. Your eyes have really cleaned up. You look completely like it's been a blessing for you. So without further ado, tell us what you went through, where you're at. I don't know if you have those bags handy, but if not,
I do.
Okay, because I really want to see that, because it's really freaking me out. We'll get into that, but just kind of give everybody a understanding of where you're at right now.
Sure. So thanks for having me back on. I have to say, the last time I was on your show, Adam, it took every ounce of energy I had to process thoughts, and like from the time that you asked me a question to be able to answer the question.
Oh yeah.
And that's how bad my brain fog was. It was so incredibly bad.
Now, brain fog, let me interrupt you. It is toxicity, because toxicity stores in your fat cells, and your brain is 60% fat. So that there's a physiological reason that all happened. So it's really, you really seem cognitive now, but that's when it comes down to it, what that was doing to your body, it's more than just, it could hurt you or cause some kind of disease. It's really messed with your brain. Yeah.
Yeah, that part was really bad for me. So I had over 30 symptoms and had no answers, which is what led me to start digging. It was truly the grace of God that I even found out that it was implants, because no doctor helped me with that. Okay. And I had doctors even telling me, it can't possibly be it,
Allison, that's what so many people, they get diagnosed with Lyme disease, with lupus, with MS, with all these. Like, if a doctor doesn't know what it is, especially if you went back to your plastic surgeon, they're not going to say that's what's causing it, because that would be an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
So we all know that they're a foreign, let's say, toxic invader that your body, most people's bodies, I would say everybody's body, will just naturally reject, right?
Yeah, it's really a ticking time bomb. And that's where, when you look at, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have any issues. Well, that's great. It's just a matter of time. It really is. Mine was over 12 years. I didn't have issues right away. And I started to have issues, but it didn't really impact my quality of life.
Yep.
So I never really dug into it. So
when with toxicity, especially, whether it's mold toxicity, because there could be some mold and bacterial growth there. It could be, in the case if it's silicone, it could be petrochemical toxicity. Your body has, let's say, a bunch of different baskets, And each one of those baskets can, fit a certain amount of toxicity until you become symptomatic. And that's really what happened, is that your basket just slowly over time started to overfill. And when you get an overflowing basket, that's when it really starts to manifest in, tons of different symptoms. So,
Right.
the first step is what you did, which is getting it out. Tell us about that,
Right.
how that was. I mean, because that must be how you doing psychologically with that,
Yeah.
as opposed to first you got the mental aspect, because being the winningest and really being healthy is like brain, because you seem to have went, let's say, 100 miles an hour from where you were. You've got your own show now. You're doing a show helping other people. You're coaching. I see some cheerleading stuff and some different stuff. You're out there. You're actually being able to be a mom again, which is
Right.
awesome, and a functioning member of society. So tell us that, from what happened from that point, from your brain, and then what happened from your body.
Okay. So, first of all, I will say it was a process, right? So, I had to learn to give myself grace in healing. But
Okay.
truly, it was like, I wasn't focusing so much on the symptoms, like obsessing over it, but I would go back like once a month and say, oh, okay, I can cross this off. Like, I don't have this one anymore. But truly, like when I say I got a new chance at life, it's not even that. Like, I really, truly do feel like a different person. It's not even
You
that I'm
look,
back
you
to
look like it.
normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
look
really,
like a completely different person.
totally different. And people
Great.
are like, oh, good, you're back to normal. And I'm like, I don't really think so. Like, because I don't know what normal was, because it was
Right.
12 years, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know. And plus, I'm older and whatever. But yeah, I've been able to start new things. Like the creativity came back in my brain. I didn't even realize was missing.
Yeah.
I'm taking risk, like just putting myself out there, where before I was kind of like reserved or couldn't even process the thoughts enough to follow through on anything.
Yep.
So truly, like the mental aspect is night and day. I'm sure I
So if
still
I
have.
so if I hear you correctly, by removing the breast implants, you actually gained more than you lost.
Oh heck yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
good, because that's
thankfully
that's
for
probably
my
most women's concern. Like, oh my,
yes,
how am I gonna deal with the loss, right? Because you're kind
yeah,
of, let's say, you're gonna be physically different.
you are, and that is something. Thankfully, I don't really care, to be honest, to
It's
not
all up
have
here.
those. It
Yeah,
is all up here. And
yeah,
I know where my value is. Like my value is in my creator and what my husband thinks of me as well. I mean, that's obviously not the determinator, like the determining factor. But I'm comfortable in the way that I am. And whatever society tells me I need to look like, it doesn't bother me anymore. So I really feel like I've matured in that aspect. Like God
nice.
made me who I am and who I'm supposed to be. I'm
You
good with
said
that.
you said a lot of important things that we have. Well, I have in the new book that's coming out, which is The Winningest. Just finished it. It really took me. So instead, when last we spoke, we were going to go full on with the podcast, but because of COVID and everything that happened, we ended up shifting our focus into the book. And God, the creator, and I am, those are all very important points. In really, the book is all about determining who you really are, what you really want, and how to get it. And I would have to say that, as you know, when you have anything foreign inside of you, whether that's drugs, alcohol, um, you know, plastic products, petrochemicals,
Right.
those all impact your chemistry, and they reduce your personality. They're designed to be
Yeah.
suppressive. So it's like that trick that, I don't know, you can say the other side, the dark side says, yeah, you need to have this, when it doesn't really give you anything. It kind of subtracts, because it affects so much on the mental side, from who you really are.
Right.
And I guess you probably figured out that I am not my breast implants. Obviously,
Right.
those were the opposite of giving you any type of benefit.
100%. 100%. And what was hard for me at first is I spent over 15 years in the medical device industry.
Yeah.
And so just seeing like the other side of that, I'm like, holy crap. Like it was just really hard to process. So it's breast implants obviously are really bad with the chemical makeup and everything, but it's really any kind of implant your body can have reaction to.
Anything.
Right?
And
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. And one of the chapters in the new book is called Bad Teachers. And it's really like we just have a super amount of bad data. It's almost like,
Yeah.
Kellogg's breakfast is that's like the easiest thing to see. Like breakfast is the most important meal a day. Yes, taking a break in your fast is important, but having some cornflakes in the morning is definitely not the most important thing. And all of these medical industry, the entire medical industry, which was completely created by Rockefeller and then DuPont, who, I mean, that's your breast implants there.
Yep.
They also make your pans for cooking that are also super toxic and different things. They're not designed to really help you or put you to the winningest level. What they're designed to is take money out of your pocket, which it did, and put it into their pocket. The consequences was, I think if you knew what you knew now, would you have really made that decision?
Not a chance. I mean, I truly gave up like 12 years of my life. And it was the time that my children were growing up. Like, thankfully, I still have one that's younger, but she's 14. But I feel like I just missed out on so much of that. And what you're saying is so true. It really does suppress your brain. And that was like the thing they wanted to give me was medicine that then suppressed my brain even more to help with the symptoms.
They want to give you some more petrochemicals to fill up your toxicity bucket, which then makes your brain slow down and then would give you more symptoms. Like it might stop one symptom from happening and give you 5 more. It makes absolutely no sense when you want to be the winningest that, you would go anything that isn't creator given, or let's say, there's certain rules to life and there's laws, like gravity that the creator made, there's certain things like putting things into your body that don't belong there. They will have a consequence. We're just a meat bag of chemicals. And when you change those chemicals, things really happen. So let's talk about the physical. So what about those chemicals? You've got those 2 bags. Do you have them in front of you?
I do. Let me grab them really quick. I've kind of got them tucked back. So give me just a second. I've got them in a Ziploc bag after I realized they were not full anymore.
Wow.
So here you go. Okay. They're almost completely empty.
Where did it all go?
No idea.
And was that silicone or saline?
It was saline.
Okay, saline.
Yep. And so I sent it to my nurse and she said, weird. Maybe they just evaporated. I'm like, well, what would have happened if they were in my body?
Yeah.
And so it was a big question for me. Like this fluid, was that ever saline when I got them back or was it body fluid? Because there's actually a valve that's in the implant that's made to allow the saline to go in and out, which is the weirdest thing ever, right? But they can actually get in there and fill them up to a bigger size while they're still in your body. And that's the way they were designed. So, yeah.
They definitely weren't designed by God.
No, they weren't.
That's for sure, because they seem to be a little bit flawed. And I'll post a picture of you in the comments section with you holding up the before picture and then the after picture of when you first got it, because they were much larger at that time, and the fluid inside is just gone somewhere. And at any rate, whatever it was, it's highly probable that it's some type of toxicity, whether it was your body creating something inside of there. It's still made out of plastic, essentially,
right,
on the outside, and that is definitely something that is not the best you can possibly be, right?
Right. Yep. And if you look up the ingredients or the chemical makeup of breast implants, you can't find it.
Yeah.
It's nowhere. But on saline or silicone implants, those are like the bad ones, right? Yeah. Saline are the safe ones. However, the shell of the implant is made of saline. I'm sorry, silicone.
Silicone. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Silicone surrounded by saline instead of silicone surrounded by silicone. and
Right.
it's just one is liquid form and one is a more solid state. But they're
Yes.
still not really compliant with something that is in your chemistry or in your DNA to be compatible with wellness.
Right. Yep.
And,
And a
and you're
lot of this,
sorry.
yeah, a lot of the saline implants will have silicone bleed on the outside, and what it is it almost looks like it's like a tacky sticky. So the silicone is actually breaking around or breaking down. That's and going who knows where, right? But I did get a chemical, like a heavy metal test after.
How
I
did that
don't have
show?
it in front of me. It had some stuff that I shouldn't have in my body.
Yep.
Platinum was a big one. Cobalt, and there was quite a few others that were in the dangerous levels. I
Yeah.
should probably get that again just to see where I'm
Yeah.
at now.
Anything that you can measure is really good, because then when you actually go through the process of detoxification, and there really is only one method possible to detox uh, any types of heavy metals, petrochemicals, any types of vaccine ingredients. So you could just be like some kind of toxic soup where
Yeah.
the breast implants combined with, like, for example, you said they don't even allow you to know all the chemicals of the breast implants. Well, imagine your fillings, right? Everybody says, oh, mercury fillings are so bad. What about the plastic that they put
Right.
into your it's a plastic. They don't tell you what that chemical makeup is or how that gets into your body and causes all sorts of havoc either. So in a lot of cases, we're just replacing one toxin for another toxin. And
Yep.
unless you're in a, let's say, constant state of detox and you go through a really deep detox protocol, which is a 30-day protocol where you're doing heavy sauna, okay, because that's really the only way to release these toxins. So another thing, before we get too much into that, um, with breast implant, now you're doing better. Did you lose weight? What were the physical effects that you had?
Yeah, so physical effects were huge because I was in so much pain. I could barely get up my stairs. So I'm good there. Back to exercising and everything. I lost about
Right.
15 pounds. So I still
Nice.
have some to lose, but
Yep. And
I never really did a deep detox. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
yeah, that and
But yeah,
that's
I mean,
that's one of the things about losing weight or not being able to lose weight. So
yeah,
you're not at your ideal weight. The reason you're not at your ideal weight is because of the toxicity that still is in your body. So what happens is all of those toxins that you have into you are really big hormone disruptors. Okay. So that was probably what was going on with your emotions and a lot of different things that are slowly starting to, let's say, level out a little bit. But what happens is even when you lose fat, so if you lose fat cells, you don't, without detoxing, you don't lose the toxicity. So it just goes to other places. So really the reason that we put on fat is it's a protective mechanism for our brain, because we don't want all that stuff to go up. Our bodies are built so that the toxicity, and you don't get that mercury and those heavy metals into your brain, it stops it and it puts it there fat. So what really happens, and I think this is something great that I'd love to get you onto the program, teach you a little bit more about it, and have you teach your other, let's say, those of you educate in the breast implant removal, because the detox process, if you don't go through it and really do it hardcore, uh, you might lose some weight for a while, but it's really why people yo-yo on weight loss. So they lose 15 pounds and then they gain back 10, and they're like, but my diet didn't change and I'm exercising more. Why is
yep,
that happening? Because you lose the fat and then the toxicity shifts and you become more toxic rich in those areas, and then your body wants to get into an equal balance, and it says, okay, we need more fat. And that's why you can lose it for a little bit. And fat loss is one of those things that is super, super challenging. Weight loss in general, it's almost impossible when you have toxicity. And that's why you see people that even get their stomachs bypassed, they'll lose it for a while, but then it'll eventually
right.
come back, because the root of all this, the root of all your symptoms, the root of everything you had is toxic overload. And that's really what you experience on that. So it's a daily sauna, which what it does when you combine that with niacin, okay, which is a B vitamin, and some other binders to really flush it out, it allows the fat cells to release the toxicity into your bloodstream. Okay. And you have to take a binder after that to really get it out. So we're actually on a mission. So, as I said, with COVID, our mission really changed from, I've got the financial background. I always wear the financial hat, but my clients were so sick and I couldn't provide a good solution for them because yeah, we can make you more money, but you're not going to live long enough to enjoy it.
Right.
And their problems were they're overweight and they got heart problems and diabetes. Well, here's something that I want to tell you. There's a higher correlation of toxicity and diabetes than there is to smoking and lung cancer.
Wow.
Yes. So, and that's scientific. The correlation of that is huge because we all know that smoking is going to give you lung cancer. If you smoke long enough and you just don't take care of yourself, it is. And that same thing with getting the toxins out of you, that you put them into you. And we're constantly, I mean, listen, I'd love to stay toxin free and never drink out of a plastic bottle and only drink glass. But the reality is, we're surrounded by toxins in everything we do. It's in our air, it's in our water, it's in our clothes. I mean, if you're not wearing just pure cotton, you've got petrochemicals on your clothes. All this stuff is absorbing into us. And the only defense we really have is like you did, which is great, which is remove the major toxic factor that's causing those main symptoms. And then once we get you into a really detox protocol, you can maintain that. And not only that, your neurogener your neurological health. So the chances of getting MS, dementia, Parkinson's, as you do the protocol and you actually detox more frequently, you can reduce it by 66% going into your older age. So it's not only about as we're all getting older, we know it's not only about living our best life now. We want to live a longer best life. We want to have, you want to see the grandkids and have just as much vigor and vitality with them. So I'd love to really get you onto that program and help you out. And maybe we can work together somehow in educating more of your breast implant survivors and teaching them how to get the toxicity out of them once they got the main core out.
Right.
Then how to stop causing problems in the future, how to allow them to lose weight a little bit faster, and really just make sure that their brain and everything else, because I've heard some people's symptoms also last after they take them out, and that's probably more on the silicone side than the saline, I would imagine, because that's you're right, you were on the healthier version of unhealthy,
right?
But it's something I really think would be super beneficial to your health, and your overall longevity and quality, for you, for all your other survivors that you talk to and you educate out there, that they really get on a good detox protocol to just constantly clean up your fat cells, and even when you're doing exercising, jumping rope is something great you can do, or on a trampoline. It exercises your lymphatic system, which is going to help also clean out more of those toxins. It's just like little tweaks that you can do in your lifestyle. It's not something that's super major. You went through the hardest part, which was super major, and you're a super inspiration that you did it. You're thriving, and you're actually you came out way better than you were when you went into it. So you want to talk about that a little bit more. Let's say if you've got somebody who's on the edge and they're either thinking about breast implants or they already have breast implants, how do you let's say educate them, or how do you what's your advice to them?
For someone thinking about them, I would encourage them to get into the Facebook group that I'm a part of. It's Healing Breast Implant Illness by Nicole, and just see the stories of, people suffering with these breast implants. So I would say, number one, dive into who you are and who you were created to be, and what you're looking to achieve by getting the breast implants. And is it worth it to give up your ability to think and be who you are, get up the stairs before the age of 40, all of that? Is it really worth it? So I would say to really dive into your identity and who you are and spiritually.
Yeah.
For someone that has them, and this is speaking from experience, I feel like you have to be at really two places. One, so sick you'll do anything, right? Or two, ready to hear it mentally. Because my husband apparently brought this up to me 2 years prior, and I have no recollection of that conversation. I wasn't ready to hear it. I really just wasn't ready to hear it yet. So if you have them and you're not sick yet, that's great. But I would still dig into what are the effects on your health of having them in your body? Like you said, just the toxins alone, having that in your body. If you are sick, I would search out explant surgeons, and there's a list on the Healing Breast Implant Illness website, and it's important to go by that list because not everybody will do it right, and it opens up a whole new can of worms if you don't have it done correctly. Or you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with you.
Yeah, that's
my experience.
How can people get in touch with you that are inspired by your story? I know you have a podcast now. Tell us about that and really get into you took it from being, let's say, more or less paralyzed in your life with your breast implants to now you're really operating at the highest level. So what does that look like for you? How do people get your message?
Sure. So they can email me. It's Allison with one L at AllisonLiddic.com. You can find me on Facebook, Allison Liddic, and it's Liddic. As far as stuff that I'm up to, and I will say again, reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook. I've talked to probably about 100 women since I shared my story. My story is also on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. It's Allison Liddic. So I have 2 podcasts now. One is a storytelling platform. So it's for people, it's Christian women to come on and share their stories of how they've experienced God in their life. We've had all different types of stories. That's called The Shared Cup. The other one is called Flourishing Business. It's for Christian women business owners to share about their success and share encouragement. And then I also do business coaching now for Christian women that are running their businesses just to help keep them focused. Who would have known, right? The girl that couldn't even focus on her own train of thought last year is now helping others focus. And then coaching, cheerleading, doing that too. Nice. I couldn't have done one of those things last year. I mean, I just couldn't have.
And now you have 4 major projects going on at the same time.
It's crazy.
Really, and tell me, how are things going with your husband? So that's the most important thing is your relationship with your number one and number 2. Well, your relationship with God first, but then your husband second. So you said that he first told you that, hey, Allison, maybe you need to get those removed 2 years before you were ready to hear it.
Right.
How has that process been going? And tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So he shared an article. If you guys are in the fitness industry, her name's Danny Shugart. She had hers removed and shared the story. That's the one he shared with me. I don't remember it.
Gotcha.
Relationship with him, he's always been so incredibly supportive of me and was, by my side, pushing me through the entire process and really carrying me through it. Right. But amazing. He's just a great guy. And I have to say, he loves me for who I am, which I'm very appreciative of and thankful for. I shared on my year update on my page. It's sad to see a lot of men aren't that way. There have been women whose husbands have left them if they get their implants out.
I think that's probably a fear that a lot of women have, that, my husband likes me for my boobs or, whatever. Sorry to say that word. Or whatever, but, there's always that conception. So how would you, like, let's say if that's your fear, how do you get past that fear? So how did you get past that fear? Because it must have gone through your mind, because you must have said, obviously when you enhance your body, it's for the other person that's going to enjoy that as well. How do you cope with that, and how do you change, let's say, your mind and improve yourself to lay the foundation to make sure that is a successful experience for both parties?
Good question. And it really is it's a deep dive in your mindset. So first, it is being totally secure with who you are as a person, as who you were created to be. Your
Yes.
husband, yes, you want to keep him happy, but ultimately you have to be good with God and with who you are in God, right? And how
Right.
he created you. If someone is dealing with their husband saying, "Hey, don't get him out. I like your boobs," that is really him saying, just to be blunt, "I like your boobs, your fake boobs, more than really more about them than your health." And
Right.
who wants? I mean, would you
That's
want
not
to
a
be
good
with that kind
partner.
of guy? It's not a good
Exactly.
partner.
Not a good partner. And that's the whole thing. So I
Yep.
guess what you're saying for women, you really got to figure out who you are and respect yourself.
Yes.
Get an understanding that you are the creator made you, and you really have to start to understand a lot of things. And again, it's hard for a lot of people because we have super horrible teachers in life, right? Like,
Yes.
it's the main things in my book is like where words have meaning. We're putting a lot of things in there, like what is the definition of love, what is the definition of all these different things, and things like the Torah and the Bible and even the Quran, which are just 1, 2, and 3 in a step of educational manuals that kind of tell you how to live the good life, like how to have a successful life. And it's really, you live life all up here in your imagination and in what you make of it. And it's really important, I think, to get that strength, know that you can do it, and have, if you're not strong enough up here yet, find those resources. So hopefully
Yep.
that if while you're business coaching, maybe you have some time to do some coaching there too, because it's
Oh
really
yeah.
uh, it's really something. I think that you've gone through it, you're a testimony to it, and I think you could also help a ton of people with that, let's say, understanding of, like, let's get back to who you really are, the way you were really made, how you can really be happy with that, because it's just
Yes.
all a mental state. And a lot of people are hypnotized by the bad teachers, which are the marketers. I mean, you've got the Kardashian family providing a horrible example for everybody, that is like pushed into our face from the media. They're providing
Yep.
horrible examples. You've got all of these movies, and it's really hard for our children growing up with God in mind, because they're just pushing all these false narratives and marketing messages so they can sell more product to, let's say, separate ourselves from God
Right.
and who we really are.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's great that you've taken on, like, that mission from that point, and I think you're going to be super impactful in helping a lot of women. How many women around the world, or let's say in the United States, actually have breast implants? Like, how many it is? Is there a certain percentage?
I don't know that number. I'll have to look it up. I know it's an over $1 billion a year industry, breast implants alone in the US only.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a huge financial, let's say there's a huge financial incentive for them to push that narrative and
Yes.
miseducate people into the real problems with it. So I hope you continue with the message of really educating people in this aspect, because I find it
Oh, I will.
incredibly important. I hope you can work with us and, connecting more of those people to the right types of, services, and then
Yep.
detoxification, and even you coaching them through the experience, because it's that has got to be, I can't imagine as a man that going through something like that, and really, I'm sure losing a child is much worse, but it's also a part of you in a way. It's an artificial part, but
Right.
it's something that is like, you've created in your perception or your reality, that it's got some strong connections to self.
Right. Yeah,
So
it does come down to identity in so many ways. I mean, and a lot of people do tie that to themselves as identity, whatever it may be, right? Like it can be a physical thing, it can be something that you've done. But yeah, it is a part of you, even though you paid for it and put it in artificially. It is a part of you that you're losing. So the mental aspect of that is a huge mountain to climb and overcome,
yeah.
just to get over that hump. And some people really need a lot of help doing that.
Well, it's great that you're there for those people. And if they need you, again, what's the easiest way to reach out to you?
I would say Facebook is probably the easiest because you can just send me a message. So it's Allison Liddic on Facebook. It's Alison, and Liddic is Liddic.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for
Yep.
all of the wonderful information, your great story, your great testimonial, and all of the great your work you're doing. Keep it up. You really are at the winningest levels now.
Thanks.
And you know, I really would say you've come a full 360-degree circle just from our conversation, the way that you look, the things that you're actually doing. You know, we said in the beginning, you know, about getting your heavy metals tested. This is also whatever, you know, whatever's measured, that's real. And you're really measuring up to that winningest level, that God level, you know, to
right.
getting yourself, you figured out the problem, you got rid of it, and you're constantly growing there, which is all it's about. We're all learning, and you know, keep sending over more information as you find it. Any other links that you have to help other people, it's awesome. Allison, thank you so much for being on the show. You truly are the winningest.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me back.
Have a great day, Allison.
Thanks, you too.